Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Close Quarter on the Insurer TV. We're joined by Meredith Brogan, President of WeGoLook, and that's the on-demand workforce solution powered by Crawford Company. So first of all, very nice to be here in Atlanta with you, Meredith, and actually in person doing this interview.
Great to see you.
Refreshing
Thank you.
change. And I'd like to start by asking where you would say we are in the evolution of the InsurTech space and its relationship with the wider insurance arena.
I would say that we're at the very early stages in terms of the evolution in the InsurTech space. And in fact, if you think about the insurance industry, it's traditionally been very slow to move, slow to change, slow to embrace digital transformation. So the good news here, though, is that in the global InsurTech marketplace, it's reported to be valued at between $3.5 and $4 billion. So what that shows me is that we are really investing in innovation. I believe that the next decade is going to be very exciting and fun to participate in.
Right. And to what extent would you say that the claims component of the insurance cycle is primed for greater InsurTech engagement compared to perhaps other phases in the cycle?
Oh, the claims process is ripe for transformation. If you look at it from FNOL, or first notice of loss, all the way through to the claims settlement, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to automate. But when we do this, we really have to consider the policyholder first. We have to make sure that we automate areas within the process that will help improve or help make the policyholder happier, help enhance their overall experience. So one example of automation that could actually do that is around automated real-time communications. This is an opportunity for policyholders to get updates on their individual claim real time. It takes the guesswork out of it, which ultimately will lead to a happier outcome and higher net promoter scores for the carriers or for the companies.
Very good. And InsurTech ideas, of course, are wonderful. They're transformative and everything else. But we all know, in practical terms, there can be stumbling blocks that the companies face. So when it comes to the integration of new technology, what would you say the primary stumbling blocks are when it comes to dealing with existing systems?
Stumbling blocks. I would say there are probably two primary stumbling blocks that you should keep in mind, that every company should keep in mind. The first one is around selecting the right products to integrate. The second one is around change management, making sure that the users of the new technology are part of the decision-making process. So let's start with the first one, selecting the right products. That sounds easy, right?
Right.
There is nothing more frustrating to an executive in a company than to learn that various parts of the industry or various parts of their business or segments or even geographies are trying to solve the same problems, but using different vendors, using different solutions, using different products. So it's critically important that within a business, there's collaboration, that folks come together and make decisions on their commitment to the new products. So that would be the potential stumbling block number one.
Right.
The second one that I mentioned is around change management. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with adjusters or with users where they'll say, well, nobody told me.
Right.
There's an integration that I'm supposed to use this great new product, but nobody informed me. So if you can get your adjusters and your users to participate in the process up front, get their feedback before integration, then it could actually lead to a better overall outcome and higher usage of the products.
Yeah, which is ultimately what you're hoping to achieve, right?
Exactly. You can optimize the usage.
Yeah,
Yep.
Very good. We just talked a little bit about the importance of kind of getting everyone on board, but so given the criticality of the human components in the claims management process, how do you create the right balance between that interaction and the use of technology? And how can technology help to amplify that human component at Crawford?
I'm so glad that you asked about the human component, because so many times when we talk about InsurTech, we get excited. We talk about innovation, we talk about technology, and it really taps into our entrepreneurial spirit. So it's exciting and it's fun, but many times we forget about the human component. So just as much focus needs to be concentrated on empathy and making sure that we improve processes, but we're also empathetic to the ultimate policyholder. So when an individual is filing a claim, many times it's very emotional. It's an emotional time for them. There's been loss of property, damage to assets. So in order to help take a policyholder through and navigate through that journey, it's critically important that we show empathy. So you can't automate every single component of the claims process.
Right. It's still a people business after all, right?
Right. And all of the technology should really be people first.
Yeah, got it. And in practical terms, what role can technology play in the actual sort of triage of claims? And what are the key technologies that are helping to transform that element of the claims process?
Triaging of claims. You have just asked me about my very favorite topic. I really enjoy talking about smart triage because I think it's a game changer. When we talk about InsureTech and all of these new products, it's a lot to take in. So for the user to select the right product at the right time, it could actually lead to decision fatigue. We've all been there. It's a shiny new toy, but I'm not quite sure what to do with it, so I'm going to revert back to my old ways. So when we take a step back and think about the triage process and all of the different products that are available, when you use an automated process, it can actually give the user or the adjuster information about the optimal path for a particular claim.
Right.
So technology exists today where it can take the components or the facts of an individual claim, and then it could help route it to either a field adjuster or maybe a managed repair network. It could go to an on-demand network, and sometimes it could be routed just to self-service technology. So there's all these different options, but by having the automated smart triage, it can really help to push it through the optimal path.
And can that process be fully automated, or is it a case of, it depends on the kind of claim and how important that kind of human interaction is at the start with the triaging?
So, most of the smart triage tools that I'm aware of, such as Digital Desk is one that Crawford Company has developed. Most of them actually provide recommended paths. And when they're connected to AI technology, it gives an opportunity for it to continuously learn. Why would the adjuster have selected a different path than maybe what was recommended? And it's going to continue to get to tighten those guidelines and really provide the optimal path for the adjuster. So again, it goes back to the decision fatigue. It'll help remove the decision fatigue.
Got it. Now, the topic of talent, which I think is probably at the top of the agenda for almost every corporate CEO in the industry across every different segment. Obviously we saw after major events, we saw talent shortages particularly in the adjusting space as well. So how important has the adoption of new technologies been to helping the sector address the talent shortage it's faced? And particularly given the impacts that we've seen over the last few years through the pandemic of the Great Resignation.
The Great Resignation. Yes, that has absolutely impacted the insurance industry. We have seen many adjusters in particular decide to retire or no longer work full time. There is the potential for what people call the brain drain. So it's very important as we're talking about technology that can help fill the gaps, but it's also very important to continue to invest in training new talent.
Right. We
want to make sure that we have the right individuals to handle especially the mid to large complex type claims. In terms of automation, it can certainly help in areas such as the very, very high volume, low complexity claims. And in fact, in those instances, technology in some cases can be used from start to finish. Maybe it's something minor like a tree that falls on a fence or on a mailbox, and the process can be very quick, such as utilizing technology of self-service or on-demand services to move it along very quickly. So I do believe that automation can help fill the gap of the Great Resignation, but it's also critically important that we continue to invest in new talent.
Got it. And I think that we all know what the gig economy is, and we use Uber and we use all sorts of other services that very much rely on the gig economy. Perhaps it's less known that it's beginning to play sort of more of a prominent role in the claims sector. So what has been the response of carriers to a growing on-demand claims workforce?
So you've asked a question that's very close to my heart. As the president of WeGoLook, we do have a network of over 45,000, and it is part of the gig economy. I talk to carrier clients all the time about this space, about on-demand inspections and on-demand services. And the feedback that I receive is extremely positive. There is greater and greater adoption of these types of services. And here's why. Where they see the benefit is that when you have on-demand services, you have a network of individuals that are throughout in all these different locations. In our case, we're within 11 miles of an inspection site. So that means we can get there very quickly. We can take pictures, we can gather data. Many times, the claim could then be adjudicated at the desk.
Right.
So the carriers, I'm seeing greater and greater adoption. And in fact, so much so that they've asked us to expand our networks. So no longer are we just handling the gathering of the pictures and the data for those very simple type claims, but they've also asked us to start professional networks, such as for roof inspectors and for interior and exterior property claims.
And the motivation for that is to kind of speed up that process. Is that and to have better control over who is doing the repairs and.
Correct. It's to speed up the process, and combining it with technology such as 3D modeling, you also get accurate measurements. So when you combine a network with technology, you can actually have a consistent deliverable every time for the clients.
And sort of expanding on that a little bit, but how specifically has Crawford looked to use technology to enable the deployment of its on-demand workforce? And how is that helping improve the speed, accuracy, and convenience of the adjusting process?
So over the past few years, we have invested significantly in our technology, our WeGoLook technology. And in particular, our focus has been in making sure that we deploy the right resource to the right location at the right time.
Right.
And that takes technology to do it. It's really been built in partnership with our clients. So making sure that we include their preferences in the technology as we continue to move forward. So we have absolutely continued to invest in our technology around the deployment of resources.
And looking ahead, I mean, what tech innovations that kind of aren't currently part of the claims process do you sort of see becoming integral in the future?
In the future, I'll tell you, I think that we're going to see a lot of change in the next decade. I do go back to AI technology, machine learning. We're going to continue to see that improve over the next decade or so. At Crawford Company, we've really focused on technology or digital that simplifies. So it's not okay to just use new technology, but if it doesn't simplify, it really doesn't help your processes. So we focus on digital that simplifies, plus we focus on talent. We make sure that we have people and expertise that's deep and eminent. Those two things together, the digital plus the people, really will set the benchmark in the industry going forward.
Brilliant. Well, Meredith, thank you so much for your time, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful being here.